140 years. Oh, I just remembered to put my glasses down so I can read my own notes. Whitworth Wallace, 1883, and he continued in post as keeper of the museum till his death in 1927. That is not a record that we are attempting to copy, but it definitely deserves an honourable mention. And a man called Sir Charles Robinson was his agent for acquiring collections. And at the time, maybe they came in for some criticism for having high-end, elite collections, and questions were asked as to whether these very highfalutin artistic objects were really relevant to the people of Birmingham. And in response to that, he said, if it should be asked what use Italian sculptures, marble saints and Madonnas, terracotta busts, carved pilasters and friezes, chimney pieces and cassoni are likely to be to the people of Birmingham and its working thousands, my answer is that I entirely refuse to admit that art culture in the provinces should be a different thing, or pitched at a lower level than in London. And I like that answer, and I applaud that sentiment and the swagger. But maybe I disagree a little bit, because I think it should be a different thing than in London. The collection should be of this place, and it should link to these people in this place and mean something specifically here. And I just want to take a moment to talk about this incredible collection, which is the work of centuries and has global resonance, but also really local resonance. Because the museum has been closed for a little while, the Museum and Art Gallery since 2020, maybe some people have started to feel a bit more distance from the collection itself and even forgotten the incredible power of these collections and the majesty of them. In a funny sort of way, even I myself have felt more distant from the collection than I would like to. And only recently I've been reconnecting and feeling absolute majesty and power of this collection and the scale of it. There are canalettos in this collection which are not even on display. There are incredible objects, and these are probably the single most powerful and important cultural asset in the whole of the West Midlands. And I'm not just saying that because I'm selling the museum to you, I'm saying it because it's objectively a fact. The artistic quality, the merit, the scale of the 800, or another way you could count 1 million objects in this collection, are incredibly powerful, really like nationally and internationally significant. We could have a museum, the whole of the council house could be a museum with the quality of collections that we have in the city, and that is an incredible inheritance and not something to take for granted. And in my recent trawls through the collection, I came across a beautiful early 20th century kente cloth, which is the speciality of the Ashanti in Ghana, where Zach's ancestors are from. And I also came across an exquisite Lahore shield, which is currently on display in the Elephant in the Room. And on it are representations of the Sikh leader Maharaja Ranjit Singh. I'm from Lahore, and these collections just reminded me again that back when Whitworth Wallace was the first curator, I don't know if he would have imagined that there would be a descendant from Ghana and a descendant from Pakistan being the CEOs of the museum. But that's the great thing about collections. There is so much in it and so much that we can't imagine about the future and about our own roots and our own identities, that everything is there and everything can be found there. And as time moves on and generations move on and we reinvent ourselves as society, the collections are permanent, but they are also to be reinterpreted by every generation. And seeing these objects, the Lahore shield and the kente cloth from Ghana, it also reminded me about how I feel more connected, not just to Birmingham, but actually to England as a whole through this collection, and how it makes my own identity as a British person and as somebody who's lived here for 50 years but was born in Pakistan, how it has strengthened that and made me feel more keenly connected to place. And I feel very strong civic pride myself, as a lot of people here in this room do, for Birmingham and for this organisation and for these collections. And in recent times, it's become quite fashionable to talk about civic pride and the importance of place and identity it's quite easy, it rolls off the tongue quite easy, it's quite popular amongst arts policy people to talk about pride in place and identity. And I find it quite easy to talk about that myself. It's quite uncontroversial to talk about the importance of civic pride. But what feels more uncomfortable and more complicated is to talk about patriotism, because that's quite a loaded term. And I'm certainly not somebody who grew up feeling easily patriotic or talking about that. But recently I realised that a feeling of civic pride is simply feeling connected to a place, feeling proud of a place and the people in that place and the things and the qualities of that place. And if I can feel that so easily about Birmingham, then really what is the difference between that and patriotism? It's simply civic pride on a larger scale. So I suppose what I'm saying, and I'm quite surprised to find myself feeling after 5 years working in Birmingham Museums Trust, is that it has made me realise that in some way I am a patriot. And that's not something that I would have expected to be standing on these steps saying. And I think that's just a small example of what stories and people and culture and connection can do for us. And reclaiming our country or our identity or our place or even patriotism is an important shift. It's been an important shift for me, and I have this museum to thank for it, and this incredible collection, and all of you, and all of the stories and the supporters, and the people who've invested in the idea of this incredible collective mission, and a civic collection of this incredible great city. So I've more thanks to say, and Zach's going to help us with his very stylish tie on. Please note tie. I didn't even tell him to wear that.
Thank you very much. I just want to say a few thanks to a few people, but let's start off just thanking to the AV and the catering staff for so great food they've got tonight. I'd also like to say a huge thanks to Birmingham City Council and the Arts Council for their ongoing rigorous support and therapy sessions for me personally, so it's fine to do. The National Lottery Heritage Fund, both for their long-term support, but also most recently helped us with the Transformational Resilience Project, and the bravery of them for allowing us to do that to be much more. So thank you to the team for that one. To the friends for always standing by us and providing support when we need it the most, thank you very much.
For some reason we decided to split the thanks. So I would also like to thank the Public Picture Gallery Fund and the Contemporary Art Society, though Caroline, for ongoing support and creating a collection that makes Birmingham proud. I'm also enjoying this clapping after every single person who's thanked, so I feel like I would like people to follow me around for the rest of the week and clap at the end of every of my sentences. Thank you to the Feeney Trust, without whom the museum would not be what we see today, and to the many trusts that have made things possible that just would otherwise have been simply ideas. It's wonderful to see so many of the patrons here. Thank you, patrons. Even when we were closed. Shuffle to the partners, creatives, artists that work with us and to create work that is relevant and useful to our citizens. Talking of which, our citizens' jury is next up. We would like to invite Chloe and Paige from the jury to say a few words. Thank you.
I've spent a long time just thinking and not being quite sure on how to start. I'm Chloe, I'm part of the Citizens Jury. This is Paige, who's also part of the Citizens Jury. There's a few of us here today, so I'm sure there'll be a couple of people on your table, but I just wanted to spend a minute or two just reflecting on what an opportunity is. So you might be able to tell from my accent, I'm born and raised in Birmingham. I spent a long time coming to so many trips to the museum when I was a kid, and so many trips to the think tank, and to be here as an adult kind of informing what the future of the museum looks like is really exciting. And it's so good to see that it's not just a tick box exercise. We've been doing this for a year, and it's still going on, and you can just tell we've really been listened to. So yeah, an amazing opportunity. And I'm going to hand over to Paige.
Citizens Jury, what is this? 14 months ago, 5,000 letters were sent out, 85 responses, 25 votes were chosen. 418 days later, we've still got about 20 people as part of the group. We were brought in to make some changes about the kind of people who are coming through the door, and not enough of them. To bring in more diversity, more people, more money. Because one of the reasons that we're struggling to go on at the moment is because a lot of places are underfunded. And it's underfunded because there's not enough of everybody coming through the door. 418 days later, we're still here as a group of people who are passionate about what we're doing at the moment. And the passion is about keeping this magnificent building open 140 years later, and it's still here. We're talking to everybody, we will talk to anybody. There's about 12 or 14 of the jury members here tonight. If there's something you want to know, grab one of us, we will talk and talk and talk and talk until at some point you say, I think we've had enough, I'm going. It's an important thing for us all to do, and it was in that one meeting back in last year. That one meeting, at the end of that meeting, we all knew this was something really important that we wanted to do. And in that 418 days, there's not been one single argument, one sulking, nobody's walked out of the room, nobody's thrown the toys out the pram. We've all acted like adults, we've all talked about the recommendations, which we started out with loads and loads of recommendations, and we've brought it down to 20, and it covers just about everything that we want to see happening to this building and to the people that come through the door. The Ozzy Osbourne exhibition, despite the fact we've lost one of our Birmingham people, has brought in over 200,000 people through the door. The exhibition has been a massive, massive success. And what we want to see is that this place becomes something on the map, with the people coming through the door, with the people that want to come through the door, with the kids that put their phones back in their pocket and look at the exhibitions without sort of walking around like you do see them, looking at the phones with nothing else. We want the people to come through the door, come and see the exhibitions, and come back for another exhibition and another exhibition. We need to be funded, we need to be supported. We do not want this building to turn into a KFC or a McDonald's or a student university place or anything else like that. This building itself lends itself to being a museum and nothing else. It cannot be nothing else. So one of the things I did read was there's a sign up on the door there. We're a city of doers, makers and changers. This is what Birmingham is. You hear a lot of things on social media about the negative parts of Birmingham. But if you look around, there are things about Birmingham that are absolutely brilliant. The buildings themselves, if you look carefully enough, you'll see a lot of beauty, a lot of brilliance. Ignore the negatives, look for the positives. We're the citizens jury, and we thank you, and we're here to talk as much as you want to hear. Thank you.